Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. There's another paid request, this time from Frank. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, it could be a review, a re-review, a topic, reaction, randomness, out of the blueness, listing, ranking, commentary, whatever it may be. Feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for the 2001 film Donnie Darko. Now, Donnie Darko is a film that's directed by a guy named Richard Kelly, who sadly after this, he hasn't directed a film that was as good as this. He did Southland Tales, which I hated. He did The Box, which I thought was forgettable and below mediocre. But this one, the way people look at David Lynch films like Mulholland Drive and Lost Highway, which I hate those films. I'm sorry. A lot of people consider them masterpieces. I disagree 110%. I think they are films that are random stuff put in and you just think whatever you want. And I'm sorry. I think that's not as... I think that's lazier than other people think. I think David Lynch is an overrated director. I do. I think he's one of the more overrated directors. I think he just does weirdness for weird's sake, and this is a film that does weird, at times to be confusing, very dreamlike status of a motion picture. But to me, I actually find a plot in this. I actually find a type of story, a type of progression, a type of point that actually makes me intrigued to try to figure it all out. And again, if you like those those David Lynch films, teach their own. To me, I look at those films, I don't care about figuring it out. You know, some people, well, you don't like them because you don't want to use your brain and you don't want to think. No, this film makes me think. This film makes me want to unravel the puzzle, unravel the mystery. It makes me want to do it because it's something interesting underneath. It's something intriguing. And it has a mixture of a good soundtrack, whether it be songs like Mad World, Head Over Heels. It does have creepy images that are David Lynch-like. But again, when you unravel, okay, I get where it's going here, and maybe this I'm a bit confused about, but I can see where it's going, and there's seems like a beginning, middle, end, and it doesn't feel like it's just a bunch of random stuff put together. I'm sorry, when I look at Mulholland Drive, I see like the scene with the two guys in a diner, and they're talking about some nightmare, and then you never see those two people again. That feels like a scene you could easily cut out and it would change nothing. Other than some old woman or old guy who then pops back up and just whatever. That's, yeah, abstract art. To me, this is abstract art that actually has a bit of more of a point to it. A bit more of a focus to it. And that's why it impresses me more, a film like Donnie Darko compared to... And I only mention it because people keep comparing this to Lynch and people go, well, how come you like this film but not David Lynch? That's one of the reasons. Plus, I like the cast. I like Jake Gyllenhaal, who is this antisocial teen who has to take pills and maybe has a bit of a mental illness. And so then you're thinking, is it a mental illness? Is he thinking all this up? Or is there actual other forces out there? And then there's a theatrical cut and there's a director's cut. I actually prefer the director's cut. Some people say director's cut is a little bit more redundant, but to me the director's cut, you're able to make a little bit more sense about it. I think the director does a little bit a better job explaining what's going on. And now do you have Jake Gyllenhaal, you got Maggie Gyllenhaal, his sister, you got Drew Barrymore, you got Patrick Swayze, may he rest in peace. You got, I think, Noah Wyle. Even Seth Rogen has a small early part. So I think the cast does a good job. You have, oh, I forget her name. She played Bill Pullman's wife in Independence Day. I forget her name. She plays the mom. And the plot of the film is Donnie. Like I said, he's a teen who has friends, goes to school, but at the end he has to take these pills, and the way I look at it, it's kind of a story of an antisocial guy that because of these crazy events, he you have a guy that doesn't believe in certain things. You have a guy that I don't know if I would say he doesn't care, but he does his own little thing and goes on a journey where by finding love and finding purpose and is able to come to terms with sacrifice and being a savior, something that he probably never would have thought of at the beginning of the film, but throughout this little journey and these things that happen and learning certain things actually comes to be, whether he was, I just depend on what you believe. I believe in more the literal sense of the story, that this he gets his vision from a guy in this rabbit costume that the world is going to end in 28 days, and that one day he's led away by this vision of this creepy looking person in a rabbit costume, which is a very striking image. And then this jet engine falls into his room, and no one knows where the hell this thing came from. How the hell did a jet engine get here? Seems like there's no planes coming by. So it's like a glitch in this whole tangent universe. Think of Back to the Future 2. Remember Back to the Future 2, we had the main 1985, then you had the alternate 1985. Think of it that way. And within this 28 days, you're in this alternate. And he's kind of given this stuff slowly but surely, where people kind of lead him, which they call the manipulated living, and then also the manipulated dead. And there's all these events that he has to do. So he has to learn to deal with water. He sees these pools coming out of people's body, kind of like the abyss. So it's like he could see what's coming in the future. He's learning. There's a book that someone wrote called The Philosophy of Time Travel, which some old woman read. I mean, she wrote the book. And then you come to did she deal with this before? Is that why she's so apeshit crazy? So then there's that party that goes, does Dottie ever want to become that person? Or is like, screw that, I'm not going to become that person. It's a movie that is hard to talk about without spoiling things, because it could be a very confusing film if you watch it just once. But it's a movie that definitely has a certain tone, definitely has a certain, to be consistent tone. It has a sense of humor to itself. At least I think the cast work well together. Drew Barrymore. I always liked her as an actress. She plays a teacher who's helping Donnie lead him to where he needs to go on his journey. Who's one of the few teachers Donnie likes. His family, he'll argue with his sister. His mom, even though he's a bit whacked out, she still loves him. I like the dad. I forget the actor who plays the dad, but the dad's a really nice guy, really cool guy, who, like when his wife, she's complaining about, oh, I don't know, am I a bitch? And the dad goes, well, you're bitching, but you're not a bitch. I mean, you're bitching, but you're not a bitch. I thought that the dad kind of had a really nice scene with his son, where he's talking to his son. He's talking about how hey, you know what? Sometimes You'll think of things, no one believes you. Hey, that's fine. Sometimes you gotta go, fuck them. Just, sometimes people thought I was crazy too. But you know what? He's trying to be nice to his son. He's not being a dick. And lo and behold, a family that's just not trying to be a dickhead. Which is a common trope in a lot of movies where the dad is just a prick and the mom is just a bitch. But no, there's actually nice moments. Like when Donnie goes, well, how does it feel to have a wacko son? And the mom sincerely goes, it feels wonderful. And then you have Donnie falling in love with this girl. And just a lot of quirks that is interesting to me. And with this off-kilter idea, when I say quirks, you have like the one lady who is Asian, and she can't quite say shut up, she says chut up. And even though she has a little bit of art that she's going to not be so afraid to talk to people. And Donnie actually does something nice for her. It's like, hey, you're going to be okay. And she gets nervous about it. Does he get the idea maybe she had a crush on Donnie? You have, at one point, going to a movie theater and having The Evil Dead playing. As one of the times he sees, funny enough, Frank. It's funny, Frank, maybe it's the actual Frank. Frank, if you're watching, am I going to be the living receiver now? Are you Frank? Are you wearing a bunny costume right now, watching this review? So it's ironic that a guy named Frank requested this, and one of the primary characters is a bunny costume wearing character named Frank. Is my name really Donnie? Maybe it is. Is this a tangent universe? Am I doing this review to set things right? Am I going to talk about Smurfette and fucking? That's probably the closest. That feels like a Kevin Smith bit of dialogue. Which is ironic because if you watch the director's cut, there's actually a commentary with Richard Kelly and Kevin Smith, who has talked with him and being the moderator. It's actually a fun commentary. This is when Kevin Smith was worth a crap. But yeah, some of the characters actually talk about Smurfette. Oh, Smurfette was created so that the Smurfs would fuck, and they're horny. And then Jake Gyllenhaal had to set straight. No, Smurfette was created by Gargamel to infiltrate, but they found love. And he says something like, plus they don't even have a dick. And it makes you think, what's the point of living if you don't even have a dick? So again, there are moments of humor, like Patrick Swayze's character. There are times where the teenagers are forced to watch VHS, because this takes place in, I think, 1988, this takes place in? Somewhere around there? I believe. 88 or 98? I can't remember if it was 1988 or 1998. I can't remember. Maybe it was 98. Might have been 98. No, they mention someone's going to vote for Dukakis. So, 88? Maybe it was. I'm sorry, I can't remember. But there's some good camera work, like when it's not the opening, but after certain things happen, he does this panning shot through the school where he's introducing to all the characters that we're going to meet with throughout the film. And this is a nice usage of the soundtrack. And that scene was head over heels. As okay, there's Drew Barrymore, and then there's this character, there's this character. Here's our principles that we're going to interact throughout the picture. And the thing is, like, this is a movie that I appreciate because it is ambitious. Again, people feel that way about David Lynch films. I disagree. Let me put it this way. I think David Lynch, if you asked him what his films are about, he couldn't tell you. And he wouldn't care. He's like, I don't give a shit. I just filmed that stuff. If you find a point into it. I think he'd be the guy that if you asked him what the point was, he'd laugh in your face. Richard Kelly could actually explain what his film's about. To me, that's the difference between the two. That's why I appreciate a guy who actually has a vision, and it might be confusing, you don't understand it all, but he still has a point. I don't think David Lynch has a point. Mulholland Drive, Lost Highway, I think they don't have points. I think there are people who could explain all they want, but I think David Lynch would laugh at them. Because I think that's the type of guy David Lynch is. That's just my opinion on it. That's one of the many reasons why I respect this type of film more. I respect his ambition more. Its tone with not just the music, but the score. I believe, speaking of Independence Day, like the wife of Bill Pullman, I think the guy who plays Frank, I think he was also in Independence Day. I think he played one of the sons of Randy Quaid. And to me, like, again, the more I looked into it, the more this interesting. Again, more in the spoilers. So spoilers. Or more spoilers. Like the whole manipulated living and the manipulated dead, where some force, maybe God, because there's talk of travel within God's channel or God's hand, maybe some other force guiding all this. That you have to set things right, because otherwise this tangent universe will destroy the main universe. And in a way, it's almost like a superhero story, but a very unique take on it. It's, okay, we gotta do these events to get this. We have to do this. Like, for example, we find out that Patrick Swayze's character... Oh, that was one thing I was going to mention. A funny bit where the teens are watching a VHS where he is like this motivational speaker, these very over-the-top silly, where Patrick Swayze turns to the camera and goes, fear, love. I like these people giving their testimonies, which I've seen plenty of videos like that, so I thought that was actually rather funny. And again, just nice to see Patrick Swayze. I miss that guy. I was a big fan of him. I enjoyed him in Uncommon Valor, Roadhouse, Steel Dawn, Ghost, even Black Dog. Really enjoyed him as an actor. Probably one of the last mainstream roles he got to be in. It wasn't the last role, because he did like a TV show that sadly didn't last long. He did a couple direct-to-video movies, but I mean like the mainstream that went to theaters, and I think this is one of the last big ones for him. But you find out that character, like child porn, so Donnie sets it on fire, because that way he gets arrested, and then the woman that was going to go on this dance recital on a plane, she can't do it, so then the mom has to do it, so then they have the house to themselves, that way they can have a party, that way there's a fight, that way the girl that he loves dies, so then he feels lost, but then also the guy who killed her is the person Donnie has to kill, and he has to kill him to set an events the whole Frank manipulated dead, because the tangent has this weird time thing, because it's this alternate universe. So in order for Frank to save him to start this to begin with, the guy has to be dead, so he has to shoot the guy in the eye, and this is the events that comes up to that. And then I think you have an antisocial teen that doesn't really care about anything, and I see this, like his mom, you see that she really cares for him and says some nice words. His dad saying some really nice words. Dealing with some nice teachers like Drew Barrymore and Noah Wyle. And falling in love with this girl. It's finding a purpose. Coming to terms of being a savior that by doing this he'll die. Because what was supposed to happen was this glitch happened where there was a jet engine with no plane. Well, now you have to have a plane in there somehow, or this engine has to go back to that. Anyway, that's it. Even I don't understand it 100%, but it's this type of thing where you have to, with his powers, create this portal and rip the engine out, and he succeeds. And when he succeeds, he laughs. And you can look at it two ways. He laughs because everything's back to normal, or he laughs because, wow, I actually saved the world. That's really cool. And then the jet engine crashes and he dies. Now, that also comes into, did he need to die? I don't know. Was that part of the whole plan of the savior portion? Is that this event had to happen and he couldn't leave? So in essence, would you save the world if you knew you had to die? Would you save the world if you knew that the original plan, God, whatever God's plan or other forces' plan is, you had to be there to die within it? Or this glitch sadly happened, so now you gotta fulfill this glitch to its main fruition. Or could he have just walked out? Or did he say, screw it, I was able to fall in love, be nice with my parents, all this stuff. I don't want to be like that old crazy lady who maybe she dealt with this and she went insane. I don't want to be that person that's paranoid, and at least now I succeeded and I'm not depressed. For most of the film, he's fairly glum and serious. It's like one of the only times he truly laughs. So it's like, wow, I don't want to say he's overcoming mental illness, but maybe close to that. And like I said, that's up to the individual, how they look at it. I mean, I think the director has done stuff on purpose, like Mad World, which I like that song. Mad World. I know it was in the trailer for the remake of The Crazies. At least I think it was. I know it was in one trailer. I remember, like, oh yeah, what is this song? And then, oh, okay, it was in movies like this. And one of the lyrics is, dreams dying, best ones I ever had. I mean, there's a reason why he chose that song. And like I said, I think it's a well-filmed movie, cinematography-wise. Like I said, it has some nice camera work. There's the whole rabbit costume. I think that's a very creepy image. Why you have that dumb bunny costume? Why you have that stupid human costume? I don't know, it's a movie I appreciate its ambition, I appreciate its originality, and you can watch the theatrical cut, which is shorter, a little bit more ambiguous, or you watch the director's cut, which explains it a bit clearer, and that's the one I prefer. But it's definitely, at the very least, an interesting movie. And you can at least have a fair advantage of attempting to solve the puzzle to whichever realization you want. And that's what I appreciate more with a type of film like that. So, yes, in my opinion, this is a good David Lynch type of film. Again, that's just my take on it. I know no one will agree. Oh well. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.